Good afternoon. This is Ian Adams coming to you from the grade 7-8 classroom at CCS. And I'd like to give you just a little walkabout to get a sense of what we're all about here in the grade 7-8 end of the school. Now, the foundation for everything that we do is the fruit of the Spirit. This is the guiding principle for the way we interact, the way we do discipline. And seeing that I'm in the grade 7-8 end, the one that I have to keep reminding them of on a daily basis is this one, self-control. By constant self-discipline and self-control, you can develop greatness of character. And that is one of the goals I have for my students, is that they grow in character each and every day. Now, we do make use of responsive classrooms, so I will just take you over here and show you how we have translated some of this into the culture of our classroom. And so I'll read this for you. There's a little bit of a glare there. So in our classroom, we take care of ourselves. We treat others with kindness and respect. We do our best work. We keep our space tidy and clean. We grow from our mistakes, and we are a team. Now, that is something that is the focus of our advisory meetings in our classroom every morning, as well as a devotional. And this year we are focused on Case for Christ, Lee Strobel. Now, the two-prong approach that I really have with this age level is one, to prepare them for high school, to make sure they have the requisite skills and abilities to be successful at the next level. The other thing, since I have them here at a Christian school, and some of them are heading to public high schools, is to make sure that they have a grounding in their faith. And in my mind, I feel like I need to take these 2 years to work on the foundation. We've been working through Case for Christ for kids, so that they have a foundation, and so that their faith has roots. It's established in truth, so that when they move on from here, they can start owning their faith. That it's something that, as they go through the teen years, and a lot of kids are asking questions, that it's something that they are grounded in, and that, when those difficulties come through the teen years, that they have this solid foundation to grow from. So I hope that gives you a sense. Now, of course, we do math, language, science, geography, history, all with a focus on, God's creation, how he's put all of these things together, how it's all beautiful and perfect, and our place in that creation. So, so I hope that that gives you a bit of a rundown of what we do here at CCS.
Hello there. My name is Paula. I am the grade 5-6 teacher, and you're just going to get kind of a quick video of me explaining a little bit of stuff, and then just showing you the room, and then I will finish the video off probably with some pictures of the kids doing some activities, and more explaining of what they're doing in the pictures. I teach 5-6. I have been teaching 5-6 for the last few years. I have taught 7-8 and in 3-4. So wide range of kids. We've really changed how we think about things and our thinking of the kids over the last number of years. The kids are really a part of the community. The school becomes more of a community. It's their classroom. They have some say in it. Of course, now with COVID, they have a little less say of how things happen or where you get to sit or move. But we try to really make it part that they feel that they are having some input, because they spend a lot of their time here in the room. So I will have to pause the video at times to just flip my camera to show you some of the room. Of course, it's empty. The kids' desks are in rows right now because of COVID. So it's a little bit set up different than what it has been for the last number of years. But I'll try to explain what it would have been like if it wasn't for COVID, and then hopefully, like I said, end off the video with some pictures and some explanation of what's happening in them. All right, so here is the video again. Here is my classroom. Here is the front board. So we just sort of keep track of what's happening during the week. This is our coming up next week. You can see the kids are a little busy, and of course they have Monday off. This is where you keep track of homework. They only have a music assignment that is due over the weekend. This is of course the main board that we use for the projector as well. Over here, the I can statements, the kids have a target for the day and they can kind of look back and go, oh, okay, grade 5, was I able to create equations out of word problems? Honestly, this is probably about a day old since grade 5s did do a test today. But they were working on identifying homophones, they were using keywords to help them find main ideas, and they were working on an informational report. Off to the side again, we just keep track of the subjects, and the order changes every day so the kids know what's happening and nobody is surprised. Of course, our Chromebooks, and of course here is the kids' desks. They are spread out in rows. One side over here is all the grade 6s, and all the grade 5s sit on here. Unfortunately, we don't mix them due to having different math programs. We'd love to have them mixed. In the past, in a pre-COVID classroom, I did have them in groups of 4. They would be mixed by grade, and I would meet with grades at a table and a carpet, and we would have our math lesson there. Unfortunately, we can't do that. Back of the room, they have their buckets with their names for their extra belongings so that we don't have to have everything on our shelves of our chair. So that is my classroom, and we pretty much start off every morning with a greeting and an activity and some sharing, and you will be seeing that in some pictures that I will attach to the end of this video with some explanation of what's happening.
When the students come in the morning, there's usually a message on the board that explains to them what to do and just gives them some instructions of posting pictures or of work that needs to be started. Once they've done that, there's a shared greeting. They will then wander around the room and greet each other, as you can see in the picture. The students are just saying good morning to each other so they all feel part of the community, and then sharing an answer. After that, we will move into a message that just explains our day, talks about what to expect, the subjects that are coming, just some words of encouragement from myself, and just so that they know this is what to expect for the day. After we do that, we move on to an activity, usually a team building or something where they have to do a task together. This is a video of them actually playing a rhythm game. Next picture is of a game called Wusha that they enjoy to play as well. Students will have a chance in devotions to share their thoughts and concerns. We like to have them working with various students, of course, through the school, and just working on team building activities, making them feel part of the community. We really encourage them to work with the younger ones. Here we see reading buddies or working on just assigned topics together.
So I hope that helps you get an understanding of what grade 5 is like at Community Christian School, and that you can see that we're trying to really incorporate the kids into everything and allowing them to have those relationships with their peers and work and problem solve and dig deeper with each other and use each other as resources, and just to continue to develop all of their relationships. So I hope you enjoyed this and that you learned something about grade 5-6.
Bonjour, my name is Amanda Coster and I teach French and health and Bible and leadership at Community Christian School. This year, because of COVID, I don't have an official classroom, so I use a cart to travel around to the classrooms and travel around to the students to teach them the various subjects. I really enjoy teaching multiple subjects, multiple grades, because it gives me a chance to get to know all of the students and connect with them on a different level than just being their classroom teacher. That being said, though, I also have to be very intentional and very, kind of go out of my way to make sure that I do get to know them on a personal level and on an individual basis, and that can be a little bit more tricky when you're a Rotary teacher. My classes provide many opportunities for me to help students walk them through their learning about themselves, about others, and about their place in God's story and their place in God's creation. We do this through Bible study. We do this through memorization of Bible verses, creating prayers in the French language, and learning how to care for our minds and bodies that God has created for us. I also, as the French teacher, try to provide opportunities that students can begin to appreciate the culture and ideas around the French language as well. One of the most meaningful ways to incorporate our Christian beliefs and values into our school and into the students' lives at CCS has been through leadership opportunities that I've been able to help provide for them. Now, some of these opportunities have been put on hold, or they look a little bit different this year because of our COVID restrictions, but we still try to push forward and push through and come up with unique ways that the students can still help to give back and have those leadership opportunities available to them. So in doing these kinds of things, we can provide ways in which they can serve others in our school, where they can serve their community, and they can serve the town of Drayton as well. Some things that have been a success over the past year or so that I have been teaching at CCS is leaf raking for seniors in Drayton, which the students they ask about. We did it last fall, and then we did it again this past fall, and they were asking, can we go and do that? They just really loved that opportunity. They thought that was so great. We provide spirit days each month. Monthly devotional lunches, which we were doing between classes. So different kids from different classes would get together in color groups, and we would have lunch together. And it was a really an amazing way for students around the school to connect on a monthly basis. Food drives and Christmas activities, writing notes of thank you and gratitude to others around the school and those who help us in our community. Just ways that we can bring to life all the values and ideas that are taught within the classroom. So reinforcing some of those ideas that the classroom teachers work on a daily basis in their subjects, and then we're able to reinforce those as we carry out some of these activities. It really gives meaning to the mission that God has sent us on, that each day we are to love and serve one another and do all of our work in His name. Not only do they provide opportunity and fun for the other students and for the older students, so it's grade 7 and 8s that usually provide the leadership opportunities too, that they create the activities. It brings our school community closer together, and it helps the older students to identify their gifts and talents and recognize how to use these for the good of others and to develop those leadership skills. All right, it was great to talk for you today, and thank you.
Hi, my name's Marianne, and I am the grade 3-4 teacher here at Community Christian School. I have been teaching for more than 15 years, and I love it. It is a part of who I am, so I just hope that you find that too. Okay, so my classroom, it looks very different this year than it has in previous years, mainly because of COVID-19 restrictions, which makes my heart sad. I had a beautiful couch, stuffies, and rugs, old donated kind of shag carpet that with a coffee table so the kids would sit at that and do their work. Pre-COVID, we did a lot of flexible seating options. I had some standing desks. Like I said, I had my couch and my carpets so the kids could work around the room. There's always a home base that we had, so kids always had a hard writing surface to work on, but they had the options of moving to go to different spaces. Now with that, I also had very strict parameters around when I was teaching at the front, typically at my front carpet, the rule was no bellies or backs. And that way there's a difference between just kind of free time, not free time, but like, you know, flexibility to learn as you see, like do your work. But with that being said, I also had, you can probably see some of these little here, my lap desks the kids used to use. So when they were sitting at the back carpet, they would do that. And that was really, really cool. I'm not gonna lie, when you see a 10-year-old
boy who's in grade 4, and they are curled up on the floor with a giant oversized teddy bear reading, and they just stay there. It just makes your heart sing. Okay, so really quickly too, I have, it's probably backwards, I have my learning goals. We always post learning goals for math, and you can see some of my language goals, and then for Bible and creation studies. Hopefully it's not too backwards. So I'm just gonna take you on a quick tour of my room. I like colors coordinated. Here's my word wall. My word wall every year ends up being blank, and then we start it blank, and then we just add words as the kids need them. And if they don't need them anymore, we take them off. I like color coordinated turquoise, and those bulletin boards change. But what I think is really fantastic about my classroom this year, and even without COVID, is I have this massive gold frame, and you've caught us just as we're about refilling it. This frame showcases student work, and I love it because every year, and I do a couple things. One, every year I take it off the wall, lay it down on the floor, and the kids get their picture taken inside of it. And it's a really special way to just, create them as a picture. But this frame is not meant for me, it's meant for the kids. And we always showcase their excellence here. And it's really amazing as they fill it up and they put their new work in it. And it's exciting because they really have an ownership in the classroom, because this space, although it's got Marianne sprinkles all over it, this space is really for them. And another thing I do, which again, I have to be doing it differently because of COVID, you can probably see this wonderful conglomerate of mess and disorganization, which is actually not disorganization. This is my STEM stuff, and I've got beautiful STEM stuff up in here, and we do STEM. I love STEM. I've had a lot of boys and girls, but a lot of boys who, if they were to get a C on a test, they have worked really hard to get a C, but you give them some popsicle sticks and some magnets, and they can create air hockey tables. And that's why I do STEM. I do STEM because I have kids who need that hands-on learning. And I have seen this, I have seen boys who struggle in math. And this happened a couple years ago. One of my boys, he knew STEM meant science, technology, engineering, and math. And so he was struggling with long division, and he said to me, he goes, I can do this because it's STEM. I can do math because I can do STEM. And that to me was just, boom, we're done. We're done. There's nothing else you need. This kid owned it, and he tried, and he persevered, and now he's well past me, but he knows he can do this because he can do STEM. So I really love flexible seating, which you can't see right now because of COVID. I love having those spaces where kids can stretch and grow and just do their work as in the ways that they're comfortable. Now with parameters, of course, but ways that they're comfortable. And I love doing STEM. And even with COVID, we still do STEM because STEM is just awesome. So there you go. This is my room. And we may burst out into random song from time to time in grade 3-4, just because. Why wouldn't you? All right. All the best in your teacher journey.
My name is Betty Hoving, and I am the resource teacher at Community Christian School. As a resource teacher, I provide learning support for students in grades 1 to 8. The students come to the resource room for 15, 20, or 30-minute sessions. Younger students come for 15-minute sessions. Some of them come twice in the morning, once for a math support and once for reading or language support. The older students tend to come for 20 to 30-minute sessions for either reading, language, or math support. I find that meeting with the students every day for a short period of time tremendously helps them to fill the gaps that they have in their learning, or to pre-teach skills that they are missing in order to do the daily lessons in the classroom. I have a very good rapport with the classroom teachers. We can talk about what the students are, what they need help in, what they need support in. We conference very often, we touch base with each other very often, and I could not do my job well if I did not have the support and communication with the rest of the staff. This is just a snapshot of the room. I have an area where I do my own work. I have room shelf space where I keep a lot of my supplies. I work with the students at this kind of a desk or table so I can sit across from them or beside them as I do my work. And I also have another area and just another room, and I'll show you that in a minute. This is the space that I use when I'm working with more than one student. It allows us at this point to physically distance a little better, gives us a little more working space. And students can also use this room in the afternoons if they need to work on projects with another student or individually.
Welcome to Grade 1-2. My name is Rachel Agile and I am the classroom teacher. A quick note, the pictures that are shared in this video were taken before COVID-19, so you will see students that are not social distancing, that will be wearing masks. However, the time before COVID-19 is a better reflection of my approach to teaching and student learning in the classroom. Our students are reflections of Christ today. They can let their light shine daily to their classmates, their families, and within their communities. I encourage them to support each other in learning and in play. I encourage them to celebrate each other's gifts. We take this learning outside of the classroom by reading to our neighbors, connecting to students in other countries, and caring for those in our community who are sick or in need. An important part of supporting each other within the classroom is learning to communicate and interact in a positive, thoughtful way. I want my students to know that they have a safe space to work out conflicts and ask questions where they can be supported by their peers and their teacher. One of the ways we do this is through community circles. We gather together in order to discuss hypothetical or currently occurring scenarios. Taking turns, students are able to share and grow together as friends. Keeping an observant eye on the relationship dynamics is an important part of supporting each other. What happens at home and at recess matters. We take the time to share and discuss, to meet and problem solve, to reflect on what we can do to improve each situation the next time it happens. Students are also encouraged to take on leadership roles. They are given the opportunity to read to the class, sharing their growing skills with each other. They are also encouraged to lead class devotions and prayer. In both, they choose helpers in case they get stuck on a word. In this way, they are encouraged to be leaders that rely on their community, leaders that are able to seek and provide support. Students also provide academic support for their peers. Flexible seating is arranged in order to maximize this type of interaction. They've been trained on how to help, not tell, and are becoming expert teachers. I have often had grade 2 students request to be helpers for a grade 1 reading group. They're able to articulate specific concepts they learned the year before in order to assist their peers as growing readers. As student leaders, my students are also responsible for making choices with their free time. A visual list of options is provided, but what they choose from it is up to them. Many choose to read, while others frequently organize their desks. Still others enjoy sharing their creativity through drawing. I believe that opportunities for independence are an important part of encouraging children to succeed. Reflecting on their work is another essential aspect of student success. Each term, my students complete a self-report card. At the beginning of the year, they rate themselves using a smiley face scale. As the year progresses, their reflections deepen. I regularly remind my students that just as in hockey or soccer, they need to practice in order to improve. Practice takes time, but the end result is worth the effort. Students often marvel at what they can achieve when they take their time and try to do something more than once. The student on the top is practicing drawing a fish for a research project before she does her final product. A student with a Mad Minute has been improving addition facts and graphing them to see her progress. As a classroom community, we take the time to celebrate each other's success. When we've collectively mastered our individual siteward goals, we celebrate with a class plan party. When an individual student creates beautiful work, they're encouraged to share it through a great work bulletin board. We also give each other feedback throughout the process to ensure that we are learning and growing together. Individualized teaching is one of the keys to student success. Through continuous assessment, I group students based on what they need to learn. Students who have accomplished grade level concepts are encouraged to seek new challenges through advanced material and assignments. Students who have not yet met grade level expectations are taught the prerequisites they need in order to succeed. Each student is met at their level.
Welcome to kindergarten. My name is Teresa Culp and I am the kindergarten teacher here at CCS. We are so sad that you aren't able to join us in person, and some of my video obviously will not have the students in it, as I am recording this on a PD day or /snow day. What you've just seen is just, I gave you a little glimpse at just what the environment looks like as you come down the hall and into our classroom. So this is your welcome to kindergarten, and let's get started. So in order to get started, I like to just give you kind of that pedagogy of how I teach. And this pedagogy of how I teach, it evolves and it grows and it gets refined as the more experiences you have of teaching. So when you come out of Teachers College, you're definitely not going to have a firm set pedagogy. You'll have ideas and idealisms, but it might not be permanent, which is good because that makes you a good teacher if you can be flexible and ebb and flow. So on the screen in front of you, you see that I have a whole bunch of points on my pedagogy of teaching. So students are competent and curious. Students need to be able to experience their learning. The environment, it reflects or acts as the third teacher. The two at the bottom, I think, are probably one of my most important pedagogies. Children's voices should always be heard and listened to. So a student is telling you something. When they are talking, they're telling you something. Whether that is how they're feeling, what's happening at home, what they're learning, they are trying to get across something that is important to them. And if you do not listen to them, you are not honoring them as a learner and as a student. And the last one is children learn while they play and in play. If you want to know if a student knows how to do something, you do not give them a test. You let them go, you put the materials in your environment that will support their learning, and you let them play with the materials. And they will show you exactly what they know and the depth of what they know when they do it on their own in their play. It is pretty amazing. So the structure of our day looks very different than the structure of a grade 1 or 2 or grade 8 day. We ebb and flow through the day in all different types of play scenarios. What you see in these pictures here reflect more of a structured play. So they're using materials to manipulate, to build, because we're focusing on 2D shapes. In one of the pictures, the students are standing there and they're on a word hunt, and so they're playing in more of a structure. They have a task that they have to do, and they're fulfilling it through a play type scenario. The girls that are writing at the bench are actually observing a caterpillar turned into a chrysalis in our classroom, and they're observing and they're chatting to each other about what will happen, and they're writing their observations down and they're collaborating. We spend a lot of time outside in kindergarten in our play, doing activities, structured, unstructured. The outside environment is the most natural environment for students to see themselves as learners, to learn to take risks, and they're not confined by walls, and they're more relaxed. And they just, there's just a different atmosphere when you are outside teaching. I just captured a few pictures here of over the years of different things that we do. We will do our morning meeting outside. We just allow that freedom to play with the equipment. Students, a big thing in kindergarten is learning how to do the monkey bars, and the sense of accomplishment that they have when they're able to do that. And then we do silly days, like we had a theme day where a water day, and we all wore our bathing suits and did water activities outside. So, teaching doesn't necessarily need a pencil, a paper. It doesn't necessarily need a desk. It doesn't necessarily need a classroom. Learning can happen anywhere. I think the most learning that those little boys in the sandbox did, they learned how to play together in that sandbox, and that transferred into our classroom, which was huge. We spend a lot of time outside just observing God's creation, and that is pretty amazing too, to watch the students, to see the differences in God's creation through the seasons, and being able to observe something beyond their narrow scope of themselves. And seeing the world around them. And that becomes with maturity and spending time outside, having adults just give them language and just to point things out where they go, oh, I didn't know that. So that's a very big part of our program here, is outside learning. As some of the other teachers have probably said in their videos, if I'm not the first one that you're watching, we do a morning meeting each day in all of our classrooms. And in the past, Rachel Gilles, who is the teacher you see in this picture, we will share our morning meeting grade. So she teaches grade 1, 2, and I teach kindergarten, and we do 2 mornings a week pre-COVID, where we spend time, both our classes spend time outside or in the gym together. We set up provocations, we allow free play, and just to build community with all of our students, because every other year our students are together in a class. So to keep those relationships active, we often spend time each morning together twice a week. So what Rachel is showing you is our morning meeting. So how we do it together will be different than how we do it in our own classrooms. But it's always a time to come together. It's a time to share. It's a time to highlight things. In kindergarten, I have a star of the day, so every day somebody gets to be highlighted. We sing a special song for them. They help us with our morning message. We incorporate literacy. We do math. We have little rhymes we do together, and we also then spend time in prayer. and we have started what we call a popcorn prayer, and that in Miss Culp, that's what the children call me. I start the prayer, and then they pray. We have gotten to the point now where they will pray out loud for things that are on their mind or things that are bothering them, or praise celebrations, and it's pretty darn cute to watch these little people pray out loud in front of one another, which is an amazing feat. Like, that requires a lot of self-confidence, because praying as adults in front of other people out loud, it makes you very vulnerable. So for them, it also creates vulnerability as little people. So there has to be a lot of trust in our environment, and a lot of respect for each other in our environment. Our classroom has to cultivate those things before we start. So I've just started that now, kind of like December, January. So until then, I have done all the praying, and then it's kind of like that guide, and then I have given them then the tools for how to pray, and they have taken it away. So it's been pretty amazing to watch. In the pictures on this page, you see a bunch of different examples of cultivating relationships. So there's a picture of all the students with their masks on, and Mr. Verberg is sitting in the chair, and he is inspiring them to imagine why a gingerbread man would eat pieces out of his cucumber. And this was part of our gingerbread man escape from kindergarten, and making traps. So that was part of that. So Mr. Verberg got involved, and just having the principal come in just is another piece of cultivating different relationships in our school. The picture framed with black, you see two girls, and they have a paper chain between them, and they decided they were best friends, so they have to stay far apart, so they decided that they would handcuff each other to be handcuffed to each other. So that was just a very cute way of how they're cultivating their relationship. And this happens on a daily basis here at CCS, and something that's very important to us as staff and students, and to our families. Another important part of CCS and how we teach here at CCS, not just in kindergarten but all around, is being able to spend time with other students in different classes, having shared experiences, doing shared activities to build community within the whole school. Unfortunately, this year with COVID, those things have not been able to happen in the same way, but once we can, it is definitely a big component of our teaching. And as you see from a couple of the pictures, example of reading buddies here, and reading with grade 1-2s as well. So this is another piece of our philosophy of teaching and building community, and building just a community of believers where we all respect and love one another for who we are. These pictures of play just show how important and how valuable play is within kindergarten in self-regulation, in well-being, in belonging and contributing. It's those shared experience. It's being proud of something that you're making. It's you see the boys in the picture with the red blocks. They created a wall for their school, and then they're playing school behind it, and now you're starting to see where their learning is happening on the board, what they're actually learning in the class. They're applying it in their play. The girls are painting in the special instruments that they made. Again, we're valuing the things that they're making and making space for them in our classroom, for them to experiment and experience different types of play. A lot of my teaching comes from an inquiry stance where the children experience the learning. So in this slide, it's a very simple example of how we're talking about snow. And so we were learning like the word precipitation and what that meant. So we watched a little 1-minute video, and then there's 4 pieces of paper that had the 4 types of precipitation, and their job was to go around to each paper, which was in different places in the room, and to draw a representation of that precipitation. From there, we hang them up on the wall for them to look at, and then we start adding pieces of what we're talking about. So right now, of course, we're talking about snow. So then we went outside and we had a challenge of looking for individual snowflakes. And from there, we're going to talk about the shape of snowflakes and how does snow, where does snow come from, and what, and how does God create snow, and that type of thing. So that's a huge part of our kindergarten pedagogy here.
Oh, what is that? Wow. He checked out both traps.
So you might wonder how God fits into our curriculum and our program. And it is so important to give students, or all children, that foundational piece of creating their own faith. So it's the simplicity of knowledge and how to live our lives and the expectations we have of them that start to cultivate those feelings and that belief of who God is and who He is to them. And that spiritual maturity is just as important as physical maturity, emotional maturity. I spend a lot of time in kindergarten focusing on the fruit of the Spirit, and we name that fruit of the Spirit. And when we see it in action in our environment, we're using the words. We pray all the time. We pray for each other. We pray for what's happening in our community. Sometimes when we're problem solving, we're using the idea of forgiveness. We are using the words grace and mercy. We're using the word justice and consequences. We focus on Bible stories for a certain period of time, sometimes a week, sometimes a month, depending on the story, because it's really important for me as a teacher to make sure that those connections are being made to the student and their lives. So just as an example, a fun example of what we did when we were talking about Moses and the Red Sea. And we were talking about Moses' life and God's plan for Moses' life, and we'll continue talking about that. We're not done with that, but we talked about the Red Sea and how strong God had to be, how amazing He was to be able to move water. And so we did a little experiment, and we wondered I'm not sure if you can read it at the bottom. It says, we were wondering if we were strong enough to part the Red Sea. Were we stronger than God? And each child was able to say, nope, I am not stronger than God. That's pretty powerful for their little minds. On the next slide, I'm going to just show you an example of praise and worship that happens in our classroom.
Okay, everyone. So the last part that I just want to talk about quickly is the environment and how it's set up for students to be successful and to excel in the classroom. So the biggest thing is, if you have it on your shelves, it should be able to, students should be able to access it. So if you do not want students to access it, do not put it on your shelves. So I will just go over here for a minute. So these are all pieces that are out in our classroom, and these pieces are blocks and stuff. Anything that is on these shelves, they're able to access. And there is the loft, Anything that's in the loft is accessible, and they just know that the rule is only 2 people are allowed at a time. Here again, shelves of toys that they have access to. They can, whenever it's activity time, they're more than welcome. Here, which it looks kind of like a big giant mess, is lots of different stuff to be able to make creations with. They also have their own space. And here, we honor what they do, therefore we want their stuff can be kept in their cubbies. As you see on the top, there is a bunch of creations on the go. They are making backpacks and picnic packs and baskets to deliver stuff. So that's what they're working on right now. So we honor that, and we keep their stuff, and they come back to it, and they're more than welcome to play with it again. Again, whatever I have on my shelves are for them, so they can access any of these materials at any time. This year it does look different because of COVID, so we do have them in different groups. All the materials are the same, they just have to access the materials for their color group. The last thing that I just want to talk about is what's on my walls. What's on my walls is important as far as it has to be relevant for the students. So you see here our birthdays. Birthdays are a huge piece of being in kindergarten. So we celebrate birthdays and in our classroom, and we want to know when our friends' birthdays are. So as you can see, the star is what month we're on, so the students know whose birthday. And of course they had a piece in creating our sign, so you see they have done all the writing, they have done all the decorating to showcase that these pictures mean something. They're giving a title to what this is. Again, here is our Jolly Phonics frieze, and it's always up for students to see and access. As well, on our walls here, we created our own alphabet outside with nature, and the kids also created numbers, our number anchor charts for 1 to 10, representing it in different ways. Up in the loft are pictures of our families, so those are on our walls. Our families are very, very important to us, and sometimes we just need to see our families and spend time with them. And so students will go up there and they'll talk to their families, or they'll bring their friends up and talk to their friends about their families. So that's very important to us too. This year we are doing an all about me book. So underneath this page is different pages from different months, highlighting different aspects of who we are. So this month was our friends. We wanted to celebrate our friends for Valentine's Day. So therefore we did this picture for our book, and each month we do a different all about me aspect. So next month will be pets, that type of thing. So that's what we're showcasing, their work. That's the most important. It's their work. It's meaningful to them. They go up there all the time. They talk to their friends about what they've made and what they've drawn. It also shows parents at the end of the year what they've accomplished. Up here are our calendars. So this year we did calendar. I don't always do calendar. This year we're very SK heavy, so I did calendar just to show students, like it's like a reflection of our day, I guess. So each day reflects, shows pictures of what we've been doing and what we've been learning. It helps them reflect a little bit on their learning as well to take home. It's created for them and by them. So that is very important too. And so that's the wrap for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please ask questions of Ray and myself if you would like more clarification on how kindergarten works here at CCS. I hope you enjoyed your virtual visit. I hope that we'll have the opportunity to talk face-to-face sometime.